Some really cool news from the West Bloomfield Township Board at the recent meeting. Over $500,000 in grants awarded to the West Bloomfield Township Fire Department to help support our fire and EMS services in all 4 of our communities. Here for more insight on those grants and how specifically they will help our local firefighters and our EMS officials is West Bloomfield Fire Chief Greg Flynn. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning.
Yeah, glad to have you on to talk about this. It was interesting because even Jim Manna last night, one of our township board members, kind of chuckled at the fact that, hey, we got to take a motion and we have to put all this through to approve receiving all this money that's going to help our firefighters. Seems like an easy win.
Well, that is definitely one of the more of the easier parts as far as getting awarded a grant like that. So I just really want to take a quick moment here to thank the team here at the WBFD that really made that all possible. So, and that even extends, Tyler, as you know, there's all kinds of people that extend beyond the fire department, our finance department and budget and all of the folks that make it happen.
Yeah, so much effort does go into securing these grant funds. It's not as simple as you have an application, somebody looks at it and just sends you the money. There's a lot of detail that goes into this, both from your department and, as you said, those finance officials. How long was this in the process to apply for these grants, to get all that information gathered, and ultimately put our fire department's best foot forward to secure these $500,000 plus in grants?
Tyler, it starts really years out in the sense that the Township Board has always been supportive of our engagement with our groups like the Michigan Association of Fire Chiefs and being involved with the Assist a Firefighter Grant application process, where we had retired now Deputy Fire Marshal Dave DeBoer, who would go down to the National Fire Academy and read grant applications. So all of this, understanding how grants are read, how they're approved, being involved in that process, being on the front end of the legislative side of it, whether that's at the federal level or at the state level, to get the legislation through that creates the ability to fund grants like the EMS workforce support grant that is bringing us over $260,000 for tuition and part-time employment of 12 future pre-hospital care providers, or replacing, over 70 sets of bunker gear for our firefighters so that they move in and transition into a clean set of gear immediately following a fire, so they're ready to go right back to work. So it's laying the groundwork and then following through on filling out the applications correctly with our good information, and ultimately putting that football into the end zone.
And we heard last night also from someone that was among the members of your team leading the charge on this. We'll play a clip here in a moment, Calvin, at Master Control. Captain Jeff Letkowski explained a little bit about what went into getting this grant and what some of the grant funding was ultimately for.
So the Michigan Fire Chiefs Association and the Michigan Professional Firefighters Union work together at the state level, recognizing that many fire departments out there do not have a second set of gear to go into when they're laundering their primary set. So there was a lot of communication from both the fire chiefs and the Michigan Fire Union that was kind of relaying the messaging down to the department level.
And coming back to you, Chief Flynn, on that secondary gear, that bunker gear, as you mentioned, it helps our firefighters to be able to quickly change and be ready for the potential next call. And we know we don't see a lot of these sort of incidents in West Bloomfield where there's fire after fire after fire on a daily basis, but this still is really vitally important to our firefighters and our EMS officials to be able to have that gear just in case we're providing that support to other communities, as typically does happen through the Oakway Partnership.
And Tyler, I think it's important to recognize that fire gear, bunker gear, has a life cycle of its own. So while we plan through our budget cycles to replace fire gear, what this does is this creates a space for us to move forward or expand or address some issues that we have that we normally would have had to budget for those purchases of gear. And now we're leveraging those state dollars, for example, in this grant, along with the EMS workforce grant. So it's just important to understand that, being involved at local government means that there's also a responsibility to be engaged at your county, regional, and state government, and even into the federal side of things, where we moved for that training grant that we had for $45,000 for live fire training. It's being engaged, and that's a big part of what my role is, along with, like you saw with Captain Letkowski and his application process there in ultimately achieving that grant. But it's being engaged and also advocating so that those dollars are routed very appropriately for keeping the homeland secure, and homeland security starts locally.
And how do you believe that all this coming together, that focus in these areas that you identify, maybe not necessarily as a problem or even as a weak area, but an area of improvement, ultimately to identify those areas, to get the grant funding or the other funding that you need, and ultimately be able to provide that support to your employees? How do you think that makes our fire department here in West Bloomfield and the Tri-Cities that much more attractive as we go years down the road? And we know that there are fire departments and there are police departments, other first responder departments that are in some ways struggling to compete with others for the best possible candidates. And we know that's been something that's been on your minds in recent years in West Bloomfield.
When you're coaching any team or you're managing a team, you want your team to go out there with the latest and greatest in equipment in order to meet the expectations of the public that we serve. And that's really what this is. All three of these grants are allowing us to do. Let's just take them one at a time. That live fire training is going to provide opportunity because we're doing so much on the community risk reduction side, and we're reducing the incidence of fire within the greater West Bloomfield community and to our Tri-City partners, that we need to create opportunities for our firefighters to get experience in a live fire training environment so that they keep those skills sharp. And what better way to do that than be providing them with the latest and greatest in fire bunker gear, which the Bunker Gear Assistance Grant is going to be able to do. And then finally, really capturing that interest of young or newly discovered interest into public safety, specifically the EMS side of things. We're able to now hire, and I'm very excited about this, Tyler, that we're going to very soon in the next coming weeks have an application available for those currently enrolled or looking to enroll through a community college like OCC. And we're going to pay their tuition. We're going to pay them an attractive part-time wage of roughly $20 an hour to go and be successful in the classroom so that you can be successful here, and we can offer you, hopefully, eventually employment here as a member of the WBFD.
And it's about creating that supportive environment from top to bottom across not only the fire department, but throughout the township. The fire department's over $500,000, $567,584.72 in funding from these grants approved by the board into their budget last night. There's just a portion of the many other grants that have also been awarded to the township and to our departments. Debbie Binder spoke about that and some of the hard work that goes into it from the township office that Chief Flynn also mentioned earlier on. Here's what she had to say.
I just want to echo the thank you. I know when we had our round table, there was a lot of discussion. We have some nice grant procurements coming up that they don't happen by accident. They happen by effort. And on all of these, and on this one, Jeff, I thank you. But there was a lot of work that went in on behalf of people to bring this money to the township, and it will be put to good use. And yes, we do need to go through the process of accepting a grant where, you always have to know where the money's coming from, what amount is coming, and how to handle it from within. So Finance Department, I know this has kept you busy, and thank you. And thank you to everyone who worked hard to bring the grant opportunities to light and then secure them for the township.
And that goes back, Chief Flynn, to just the widespread support that your department and our other public safety departments have in West Bloomfield. How does that also help to not only go after these opportunities that are available to the fire department, but knowing that when these opportunities do arise, you're going to have the full backing of our community?
Well, the elected officials, all of them, it really means a lot to the team. And I know sometimes, and you've been there, Tyler, that the audience doesn't seem very vast at some of our board meetings, but through the community outreach and playing back some of the segments so that our residents that do have the time to catch up on the news, if you will, the local news, it does mean a lot to the entire team when the township board recognizes that. And I want to assure everybody, they're recognizing that on the day-to-day ops side of things. We hear that feedback. I have the opportunity to hear that feedback. But again, I'm very grateful for all of the board members that voiced their sincere gratitude for the advocacy that all department heads and their teams are doing to procure outside dollars that can, again, continue to improve, maintain, expand how local government supports the residents served by all departments in West Bloomfield.
You can see even more about the process that went into getting these grants from the Township Board side and some more insight from Captain Lukowski and Chief Flynn on our replays of the West Bloomfield Township Board meetings, which are also available on demand on civiccentertv.com. Chief Flynn, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.